he should not overstep. He should not overstep diplomatic boundaries. He cannot, I emphasize, win a military war against the combined military forces of Kenya and Tanzania. Because when he talks about the Indian Ocean, I believe, yes, it means Kenya and Tanzania. Because some of its goods pass through Tanzania and Kenya. Idi Amin Dada, in 1979, tried to annex the Kagera region of Tanzania. The Tanzanian military, led by General David Bugozi Museveni, and the battle-hardened tactician, Brigadier Mike Mwita Marwa, led the Tanzanian forces. They humiliated the Uganda army.
After General Museveni coming out to comment about the Kenyan Ocean, the former AD of President Moi, NJIRU, came out and made a detailed report on how Kenya helped Uganda in the 1980 Bush War. I'm coming to realize that the 1980 Bush War when Museveni was coming to power was a cocktail of different support across the country. Even in his sowing the mustard seed, he never came out to tell us the nitty-gritties of the support. He mentioned a few. It's now very clear that Kenya helped, Tanzania helped by Nyerere, Gaddafi helped Libya, etc., etc. It's the reason as to why every time General Museveni comes out to face the opposition, he thinks they're going to use the same strategy, not knowing that every president who comes in power has a different strategy. NJIRU warned General Museveni to go slow on the Kenyan seaport, that is the ocean, because each and every person in Kenya is speaking about this. Before I proceed, let me first play with the tape of when NJIRU was saying this.
Museveni should remember that Kenya has got the smallest portion of Lake Victoria, and that our fishermen are constantly arrested and harassed by Uganda's security agents. We should also remember that what is good for the goose should also be good for the gander. And I want to remind him also that he should not overstep. He should not overstep diplomatic boundaries. He cannot, I emphasize, win a military war against the combined military forces of Kenya and Tanzania. Because when he talks about the Indian Ocean, I believe, yes, it means Kenya and Tanzania. Because some of its goods pass through Tanzania and Kenya. Idi Amin Dada, in 1979, tried to annex the Kagera region of Tanzania. The Tanzanian military, led by General David Bugozi Museveni, and the battle-hardened tactician, Brigadier Mike Mwita Marwa, led the Tanzanian forces. They humiliated the Uganda army and chased Amin out of Uganda. Some of the people who were in the Kagera campaign, the Kagera operation, are still alive. And I have in mind Lieutenant Colonel Jakaya Kikwete, who is now retired as a former president of Tanzania. He should be laughing at Museveni, wherever he is. I was personally present at Kololo when Museveni awarded General Musuguli and Brigadier Mike Mwita Marwa the highest medal in Uganda. Is called the Nanubale Award because of chasing out Amin. Because Museveni benefited from Amin's defeat. That is why he later became the president. Nalubale Award. It was Mr. Daniel Arap Moi, our late president, who helped Museveni to diplomatically and politically snooker Ugandan leader, General Tito Okello Lutwa, during the 1985 Uganda peace talks. He should not play with fire. He should choose the peaceful way. In fact, I was one of the people who were looking after Museveni when he was weak in Nairobi. He used to use my office to contact his brother Salim Saleh in the Luero Triangle. My office was his command post. Museveni should remember people like Akina Sergeant Suwut. We used to give him even our own security people so that we could escort him by Kenya Air Force Buffalo planes so that he could access the Luero Triangle through Rwanda. We helped him. So how can he threaten people who put him in power? There are some people who are more eloquent than him during the Uganda peace talks. People like Brigadier Gand Wilson Toko, who was at one time the commander of the Uganda Air Force. And you should also remember the eloquence of a former foreign minister in Uganda, Olara Otunu. We helped him. Even Nyerere loved Museveni so much that even he wrote the foreword to his book, The Must and Seed. Museveni has got so much to thank Kenya for and to thank Tanzania for. We do not deserve this kind of threat.
In your view, could such statements strain the long-standing diplomatic and trade relations between Kenya and Uganda?
Yes, they could. Because unless he tells us that he was joking, we shall take him seriously. And you know, Museveni is known for his use of force. He stormed into Kampala in 1986 through the barrel of the gun. So, based on his past, which is very well documented, we have reason to fear. Now, when we see Ugandans here, who are too many in Kenya, and here in Nakuru there are so many Ugandans doing business here. They are hawkers. They are working in the bars, in the restaurants. When we see them, we might start to see enemies because of the utterances of their leader. Because Museveni talks for Uganda. He is the leader. So what he says should be taken seriously. You remember, even when he came to power, we almost went to war. Yeah, until we had to reconcile at Inamagoro during the Moi administration.
Do you believe Uganda's grievances over oil pipeline routes and port access are legitimate economic concerns, or are they politically driven?
As I said, these things can be resolved through dialogue. They are legitimate, but you cannot resolve these things by force of arms. They should negotiate. They do not need an interpreter. Museveni speaks Swahili. Suluhu speaks Swahili. Ruto speaks Swahili. They all speak English. If they cannot understand each other in English, speak Swahili.
That is NJIRU. NJIRU was the longest serving AD of President Moi. So when he comes out to say that they help President Museveni, you are getting it from the horse's mouth, because by the time General Museveni came into power, there was Moi. In fact, Moi was removed from power in 2002. By then, General Museveni had served almost 8 years. So Moi was among the very first people who, even when the war was nearing to end, Nairobi peace talks were factually presided over by Moi. So Moi, if a person like at the caliber of Lee Njiru comes out to speak that like that, he really knows what transpired when they were helping General Kaguta Museveni. Okay, and he gave us the hindsight. In fact, I'm going to take a time and compare for you, in case of a war between Kenya and Uganda, which country can win. So that is Lee Njiru for you. He's a very good historian. I think he's now he's approaching 90 years, but the brain is still good. Of course, as my opinion, many yours truly, Mr. Makindi, Kabir Suleiman Mawagari, the next MP for Makindi East constituency. I'll see you on another one. Peace.